Wholesale Wednesday. Back at it.
I'm pulling up Instagram here on my end just so we can. For some reason, the questions never like to come in.
How's your week going?
It's going. I don't know. Sitting. I don't know. It's like, how they have like the calm before the storm, they say. I feel like this time of year is like the calm after the storm. Like we there's so much, like obviously you have your FBM and stuff like that, but there's so much prep that goes in prior, which not a lot of people understand, to like, October, November, all that type of stuff. So, once December hits, you're just like, all right.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
That's a byproduct of the preparation. A lot of guys are crushing it on FBM. I'm seeing guys all over Twitter, really shipping out a lot of merchant fulfilled orders. And December right now is like the time when you want to be shipping out merchant fulfilled. Like we'll scroll through listings and we'll look at listings and we'll, look at the delivery date of our competitors and see, some of these inventory items might not be getting there until after Christmas. So, December hits, Amazon starts putting the green tag arrives before Christmas. And at that point, that's when you could really start capitalizing on merchant fulfillment.
Yeah, when did that happen? Was it yesterday or the day before I saw that started?
No, I think it started actually right after, like on Cyber Monday when December hits, I want to say, maybe a day or two after.
I feel like I didn't notice. It just goes to show you how much I'm on the buyer side of Amazon. I feel like that I saw it. I don't know. I thought I saw it a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I think it was like a week ago, from what I saw, about a week ago or so. But yeah, if you guys are just joining us, we go live every single Wednesday, 7:00 Eastern, Wholesale Wednesday, answering all your Amazon related questions, talking about brand direct wholesale, how you could start and scale a brand direct wholesale business, in 2025 and beyond. It's a great time to start, so if you guys do have questions, drop them here in the chat. We're more than happy to answer them. Do have one question coming in here. Quick little question for you. Could you explain a little bit more about not needing to engage with Amazon wholesale? I saw you mentioned this on your Instagram story. Just want to know more. Ungate, not needing an ungate.
You don't need to be engaged to do brand direct wholesale. No.
maybe to the brand, you need to engage yourself.
Yeah, really. I feel like it's worse than that. Yeah, I posted earlier about ungating. Like most of the times, you're not really going to need an ungate because you're being authorized by the brands, and you also have invoices and things of that nature. I mean, for the most part, like when people talk about ungating, they talk about a product that is, they're not allowed to sell, and in order to get access to the listing, then they need to submit an invoice, which a lot of times, if you're doing arbitrage, is hard to get. So with wholesale, you are directly buying from the manufacturer or the distributor, and they give you a invoice that will allow you to get ungated. So it's essentially a non-issue because you have access to that invoice. It also is great if you get an authenticity complaint or something like that, you have an invoice to kind of back you up. So I always just recommend, and we do this too in the business, is like before you actually purchase something, put the product in your inventory, make sure you can list it, make sure there's nothing crazy going on. But ungating is kind of a non-issue when it comes to wholesale.
Yeah.
Question here on Instagram as well. It says how to go brand direct. So I guess transitioning out of a business model to brand direct.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is the mindset at first. You really want to adopt more of a delayed gratification mindset if you're going into wholesale, and really specifically brand direct wholesale. And the reason for that is because you probably are not going to see any significant results in I would say, the first 3 to 6 months. I think that it's going to take at least 3 months to start seeing a little bit of momentum, but to really see growth, I think you're looking at the 6 to 9 and beyond month mark. But you can start to see results. You can start closing accounts within that first 3 months if you're putting in the work and you're putting in a lot of cold calls and emails out to suppliers. But to really see that compound and multiply itself, it takes multiple months, over and then years eventually, and it's like the snowball, that you're rolling down the hill. It starts out small, and it's really, it's hard to gain momentum at first, but once you do, it just multiplies over and over again, and it becomes a lot easier. So that's the biggest thing with wholesale, specifically brand direct wholesale, is that having that mindset that you are in it, for the long term. You might not see the results right away, but trusting the process and um, putting in the work is going to what allows you to scale your business, and it will get easier as time goes on. Yeah. So another question coming in here. You used to do 99% OA and 1 ASIN wholesale on Amazon, got banned a year ago and want to start over on Walmart. What path do you recommend in softwares to really go crazy with Walmart sales with 50K capital?
I feel like we might not be the right people to ask on that. We're not on Walmart. I know there's a lot of people that are crushing right now, and Walmart's kind of giving me a little bit of like a FOMO. But there's and Walmart. I'm just going to defer, right? Like I think that's a question for somebody else. I mean, we're all Amazon. Relating to getting banned or getting Section 3 or whatever you had going on, I think that. I mean, I don't know. Is there a time limit, Brad, on like how long you can appeal that for, or does it eventually? I was going to say I would just keep fighting that as best you can. I don't know what the situation is, obviously, but
yeah, I think we would need to know more about the situation to advise on specifics of that. But yeah, Amazon, Walmart. A lot of people are taking off on Walmart. It's a nice new platform in the sense of brands are way more receptive to allowing you to sell on Walmart than they are on Amazon. So that could be a good foot in the door. And hey, if you prove yourself on Walmart, they might then go back, maybe they're not allowing Amazon, but you prove yourself on Walmart, then they may allow you to also sell on Amazon. So it could be a good foot in the door.
Verify my identity on a call after 5 appeals. Said I failed verification. You got to show them the McLovin ID from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. That'll get you. That'll clear you right through, Jeff Bezos. But I would recommend hiring a professional service to solve that problem. There's a lot of legal firms out there and Amazon experts and consultants that will help you get your account back. If you're in a situation where you're submitting things to no avail and you're unable to get consult with a professional, because they will be able to advise you on the best path forward, and submit claims on your behalf, appeals on your behalf.
Question here says, do you take on new ASINs from brands for products that have never been sold on Amazon before? And what is your strategy on this?
So the first thing we're going to do in that situation is we're going to identify if that product, if it's not on Amazon, does it have demand on other avenues? Is it selling on their website? Is it selling, in other distribution channels? And then once we've determined that information, that it has a significant enough total market demand outside of Amazon, then we can take that and translate it into Amazon and launch that product listing on Amazon. Now, we'll only do that if we're also selling their other products, and making money on them, preferably in an exclusive. But if we're making money on them, and this is just like a bonus thing, right? We're doing this as a partner. We're not just getting, the brand new listing and not selling anything else by the brand. or we're using that brand new listing launch to Amazon as a means of securing the exclusivity on other products in the line. So the biggest thing with that is the juice has to be worth the squeeze. You don't want to launch a new ASIN on Amazon that has no demand on other avenues, because it's not going to have demand on Amazon. And then you're going to go through all the effort, time, and money to set up the listing and everything. And the product's not going to sell. And the brand's going to be all hyped about the product. And then it's just going to be a situation of like, false expectations. So I think setting expectations early with the brand is important, in everything, but especially in launching new products on Amazon as well. So it looks like another question coming in here from Carson. What's the biggest difference from 100K months to 1 million months?
Yeah, I think that it's like, cliche, but I feel like it's not like more money, more problems. It's more money, different problems, I think. And I think that's the biggest thing as you grow and scale, is the process stays the same. So that's something to keep in mind. Like the process of closing accounts and reaching out to brands has pretty much stayed the same since day one. It's just, the caliber of the accounts, the caliber of the spend, the caliber of the profit, like everything just grows. So it's just managing cash flow, I think, has been, would you agree? Like that's been probably the hardest portion, I think, growing and scaling has been cash flow management, because I think it's different at $100,000 a month, than it is at $1 million a month or whatever, anywhere in between.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I would add to that is I think there's a number of different factors that are going to differ 100K month from $1 million a month business. Brandon hit the nail on the head with the main one is cash flow and capital. But also, if you're running $1 million a month business, you have to figure that you have quite significantly more SKUs or items in your inventory than you do if you're running 100K per month business. And more SKUs means more management, means more labor and software and different tools that are required to manage all those SKUs, because more SKUs is more hands on the product in the warehouse, is more attention to your repricer and making sure you're competitive on everything, is more shipping, you know what I mean? So it's just, as you grow your business, you want to make sure you do so profitably. And that's a big difference in what we've seen, in our business too, is like, we would much rather have higher selling priced items than expand our SKU catalog by 3 or 4x, because it just comes with way less management if you're just focused on selling higher priced items than carrying, thousands of SKUs in your catalog.
Yeah, exactly. It all boils down to systems. I mean, that's kind of like the more systems, because you have more, you're juggling, more. So having it more organized and more systems for everything, warehouse, whatever, is important.
Yeah, exactly. And then just jumping up one more, I think we might have missed Gianni's question here. I have big goals for myself, looking to do 100K my first year with your guys' help. Do you think that it's possible for myself? I know what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, not a doubt in my mind. If you put the work in, that you can make that happen. Or anyone watching this, anyone that's watching this that is like, we've been getting a lot of that lately. It's like, I'm wanting to jump into wholesale, or I'm wanting to start selling on Amazon, or I'm RA or OA, or I'm trying to go brand direct. Like the systems work, the systems that we use work, and it's just about putting in the work to do it and staying consistent. And I think that anyone with the right amount of motivation and discipline on this stuff can really make it very successful, life-changing business out of brand direct wholesale. I firmly believe that.
Yeah. And it's an awesome business model. We were just talking about this before because not only is it more secure, is it more profitable, but it's also
Fun.
more fun. You know,
After
it's
some
it's more,
friends, we do stuff together.
yeah. I mean, it's just more enjoyable.
Yeah,
You're
it
building
is.
relationships with real people. You get to know peoples and their families, even. So it's like it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, it's rewarding on a personal level and a business level. I didn't even really talk to you about this today yet, but like, some days, those days where you just get like you're just crushing. Like I had one of those days on the phone today where every call was just like, it was more like high caliber and just like, and you get that sense of fulfillment that is a little bit different from arbitrage, because we've both sold arbitrage and it's like you get the treasure hunt, experience and all that, which is really fun. But you get like a sense of fulfillment with wholesale that I feel like you don't get with something like arbitrage.
Completely agree. And I think that sense of fulfillment is primarily due to the element of delayed gratification in wholesale, in the
Mm-hmm.
fact that like you have to put in the work, you have to put in the calls, and you might not see the results right away. You're not going to see the results right away. But as you're scaling and you have one of those days where you're just closing it, you're maybe you're not closing it, but you're having really great conversations with brands, and you're making headway, and it's like that feeling is better and more rewarding because of all the time that you might have spent trial and error and getting hung up on, or not having success on the phone. I think that the feeling of that is magnified more, because whereas with arbitrage a lot of times it's you find a product, you sell it, you find a product, you sell
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Jump down a couple more questions here. You guys use Zoom or any other softwares, Zoom Info or any other softwares to find contact details of decision makers? What's Zoom Info? I don't even know what that is. What is Zoom Info?
it. I'm not exactly sure what Zoom Info is, but I think that as far as finding contact details of distributors, of decision makers, biggest thing is just going to the brand's website and getting a phone number, and then giving that phone number a call, and then in your opening pitch, or rather not in your opening pitch, in the introduction of that call, you say you're an e-commerce company, you're interested in opening a wholesale account, and then the first question that you ask is, am I speaking with the right person for that?
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point then they're going to delegate you to the right person, or maybe they're speaking with the right person. And the more
Yeah.
hoops they make you jump through and the more people they toss you to, the bigger the company. And you may want to, in that case, retarget your sourcing to smaller to mid-sized brands.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of touch on that too. Like the brands that we're reaching out to, we don't need something like a software to find a decision maker, because generally speaking, the decision maker is 4 feet to the left of the person that we're talking on the phone to, right? So like, we just have to go through a little bit to get to that person. Refining your sourcing process, I think, is exactly like Brad said, the way you gotta go about it. I also just looked it up. It looks like it's just a program that searches for contacts by like job title and things like that. So pretty cool. There's so much software out there; it's unbelievable. Like all the different things.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is just because if you make the call and you get on there with the first step, then you're already kind of getting into their system, right? It's and you call them again, right? They don't get back to you the first time you call them again. You start to you become known by the company almost.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing but one thing I want to point out is that sometimes people think when we say small to medium sized company, they might think like, oh, Like that's not big. It's like small revenue. But that is in fact not the case. We're targeting small to mid-sized companies because we're able to connect with the owners. We're able to talk with the decision maker. We don't have to jump through a million customer service reps to reach who we need to speak with. Big revenue, still doing sizable revenue, anywhere from our Smart Scout filter on revenue range is 20,000 to 250,000 a month, right? So it could be big, massive revenue. But we're targeting a company that has close-knit connection. We can talk with somebody. Next question here. Let's see. A couple of questions rolling in here. Congratulations on the million month, 30 days. You guys are inspirational. Appreciate that. Thanks so much. What's your ratio between brands and distributors?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at 95% brand direct. I mean, depends on time of the year because we have seasonal stuff going on, importers, distributors, but most all of the SKUs are brand direct. But we do deal with some smaller to mid-size distributors as well, where generally speaking, we can also get on the phone with someone that's, a decision maker at the company. But yeah, mostly brand direct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is going to make me fail in my wholesale business? Like a lot of things. I feel like there's. Let me just go and just lay out the list.
Yeah, I mean, just gotta put in the work. Gotta make the strategic decisions, and biggest thing is starting with small amount of capital. Shouldn't be starting with shouldn't be injecting massive amounts of capital into like one product line. So you want to mitigate your risk and diversify in small different wholesale accounts.
You know what's funny? Like you jumped to the same thing that I did before. Source products from legitimate suppliers and don't sell against TOS. Like you jumped to put in the work. Like that was the first thing that you thought of, and that was the first thing I thought of too, because I think that if you can get to the point where you have to worry about whether your products are compliant with terms of service or you have to worry about certain things, it means you've put in the work to develop your account enough where you're actually selling these products. And so I think that's the first thing. Like the biggest thing you hit it right on the head with that. The biggest thing that will make you fail in your business is by actually not putting in enough work to get it going. And that's why most, I think, wholesale sellers fail. You know what I mean? That's why they fail,
Yeah, absolutely. Then another question I missed here. How do you run your books overall for business? Yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, we're just using a external bookkeeping firm that tracks all of our transactions through A2X, and it's all synced up with QuickBooks. So that's essentially how we do that.
And you track from your payout. That's the only accurate representation of anything is working backwards from your Amazon payout. And everything is goes from there.
Can you tell me a little bit more about PPC ads, specifically brand ads? Are you guys creating the video content and lifestyle photos?
In some cases, it's very case by case, depending on the amount of, effort and how invested the brand themselves is. We will assist in doing things. We have created listings from scratch. We have created, ads, we've created infographics, and we've also outsourced it, and we've also had brands do it themselves. So it really depends, case by case. And I would look at what the brand's needs are, what their expertise is. You could have a brand that has all this content already ready to go. So look at the brand on a case by case scenario and really determine what's going to fit, what services you need to provide to them for the position that they're currently in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And one thing on that is sell the vision, not the service, right? You know, the biggest thing in closing that account that other people are not able to close is positioning yourself as a strategic partner. That's the biggest thing. That's at the end of the day what we're doing is we are positioning our company in a way that nobody else is. And that's the only reason we are able to close accounts that maybe other people aren't. And others, same with other successful sellers who are closing accounts that a lot of Amazon resellers are not, is because you are identifying a need, you're looking at their listings on Amazon, you're looking at something's going wrong, you're getting in touch with somebody who is making a decision, and then you're presenting them with a solution that is different than the pain that they have gone through with Amazon for many, many months or years, right? And that's the biggest thing, is selling the vision and positioning yourself as a strategic partner, right? It's not, I'm running your ads like that. You know, I'm running your ads, or I'm optimizing your listing, or images or bullet points. A lot of sellers don't find success with this because they're just, you know, spouting out different like value propositions, you know,
Well,
it's like, that's not the way to do it. Like, you have to really identify what that prospect's pain points are, and then, you know, approach it with empathy and understanding, and then, you know, position yourself as kind of, you know, you're almost like dancing with them. You know, it's like
you have to speak their native language, you know, and like Amazon in general, right? It's like anything else. It's like if you have no idea and you've never taken calculus before, or if I or you, Brad, probably walked into a calculus class at the moment. I took it once upon a time. Did you ever take calc or no? Did you ever take calculus?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah, what am I saying?
It's a requirement.
Yeah. Well, I got a C, so if that makes you feel any better, but like if you walked into a calculus class, right, and you've never even taken arithmetic before, and you walk in and you're just going to be so confused that you're not even going to be able to digest any of the information. But if you walked into the same class and they explained, you know, this is what helps you find how much area or how much is around like a certain thing, like you're like, okay, that makes sense to me in English, right? And so I think that it's a really good point to kind of try and do the same thing with brands. Like, don't try and push calculus on them when they don't understand arithmetic yet. Like, push on them, like Brad said, the vision of what you're trying to accomplish, and then the implementation comes later, and show them how to get from point A to point D. You know, bull with the horns down. I think sometimes a lot of sellers, like you said, Brad, get rejected.
Yeah.
Also got a thing in here says, how often do you edit Amazon listings?
Well, only if there's a need for it. You know, if we're talking about listing optimization, if it's something that we are working with the brand to do, we'll, you know, edit the listings. A lot of times, you know, you got to kind of go back and forth with Amazon to make these changes, you know, or someone on your team does. And, you know, you might have to try multiple times with Amazon. But as far as, like, we have, you know, hundreds of SKUs in our inventory, we're not editing all hundreds of those SKUs. You know, we are working on listings that we maintain a direct, and most of the time an exclusive relationship with the brand, and we're fulfilling a need and a, you know, a need and a promise, basically.
I was going to say it feels like too much, even though we're really not. But I think it's because of anything catalog, it seems like you have to just hammer home the point, and you have to have so many, you know, follow-ups and attempts to get things changed on listings. It can be difficult.
Yeah. So not the best part of the job is dealing with Amazon.
Yeah, it's probably the worst part, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Another question here: will brands work with you if you're only placing $1,000 purchase orders?
Most definitely. I think finding the brands that have a low MOQ, minimum order quantity. There's plenty of brands that you can get in less than $1,000 for sure.
Yeah.
are glass products worth selling? Like you and I differ on this a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think it's got to, like, again, the juice has to be worth the squeeze. It's got to be profitable enough, and it's got to be stable enough too. Like, it's one thing, to be profitable at a point in time, or even over the past 3 months, you look at a Keepa chart and you're like, yeah, it's profitable. But there's a bunch of sellers on the listing, and who knows, maybe the price tanks, and you got to just make sure there's enough room in there, because now you're talking about additional prep, additional supplies, additional labor. So it's obviously, if the margin is there, it's worth it. But just bear in mind that if you are going to do it, really pay close attention to the price consistency of Keepa over time. If you can get some type of an exclusive or a semi-exclusive on that would be preferred. But if the margin's there and the Keepa chart checks out and everything, then by all means.
Yeah, and I think one thing to add on that is you got to consider transportation, and you really should run the numbers on a pallet, because a pallet is going to be substantially more secure than shipping those things small parcel. So I would definitely weigh that in, as a factor, shipping it on a pallet if you have enough quantity to do so.
Yeah, definitely.
Next one in here says, I feel like this is the ever persistent request, recording yourselves doing cold calls to brands. It's
someday we might do it. I know. I saw Corey Gainen was posting some of those cold call clips. Those are funny.
I commented on it because he, like, I don't know if you saw the comment that I put on it. He like the brand owner said something, and like he was like, oh, like he looked away and rolled his eyes, and I was like, I felt that in my soul, like the feeling that he had during that, because they were just telling him some like BS or something.
Yeah, we might be able to do something like that in a video, or a clip or something. We just got to be mindful of privacy and things like that with people's audio and
right,
and all that. But yeah, no, it's added to the list. And if you guys go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's always a requested thing, and I think seeing that in action is beneficial to people, because it kind of gives you a real life scenario of the things we talk about and like how to implement them,
Right. Yeah. And the biggest thing in all of that is, like, if you're unsure about exactly what to say to a brand on the phone, or how to position this, is like, number one, like, you need to be making calls in volume. Like, that's the biggest thing. If you first start out, for no other reason but getting the experience, you have to be contacting, at least, like, 50 is like my level where I'm like, all right, if you're contacting less than 50, you might as well not be contacting at all in the early stages, right? 50 a week. So at least 50, preferably 100 brands, or authorized distributors per week you're reaching out to. And not only are you're gonna close accounts if you're sourcing the right kind of companies, but you are going to get so much better at the process than somebody who's calling 10 brands on Tuesday and 5 brands on Friday. So your results are just going to come way faster. And that's the biggest thing, is putting in the volume.
Call brands on Friday. I don't know. It's not usually.
That's what I'm saying, is somebody who's putting consistent calls. And that's the other thing I want to point out. And just in the way of consistency, like, I think it's more important for somebody to contact 20 brands Monday, 20 Tuesday, 20 Wednesday, 20 Thursday, rather than 20 Friday, rather than doing 50 on Monday and then you don't contact for 2 weeks. Get in a habit of just doing a little bit every day, chipping away at it. 20 per day, 100 per week, and that'll get you where you need to be.
Yeah. Question here, if you could clarify that, it says found your brand through distribution. If you can clarify kind of what you mean by that. Not really sure.
Yeah. And if you guys, are joining now or joining watching this back on YouTube at a later date, we go live every Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern. Always happy to have you guys on answering the questions. We love Amazon, and we love, immersing ourselves in the questions you guys have. So if you guys have last minute questions, drop them here in the chat. We'll usually run these lives about, 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, the clarification on that question says the brands that you work with. So Carson, all the brands that we work with actually come through either Smart Scout or storefront stocking, reverse sourcing. So we actually, and there's also another question on Instagram that's same thing here. How you guys find wholesale suppliers normally? So same question here, just relating to we are either reverse sourcing. So finding products that already sell on Amazon. You want to start on the Amazon level. You don't want to go and try and find a supplier and then see if their products are selling on Amazon. It's just very inefficient to do it that way. You want to start on Amazon and then, find the supplier's contact information online and then contact them from there. And Smart Scout, we can do things like set filters and criteria. And if you guys did want to try Smart Scout, we do have an affiliate code for that. If you want, Brad, you can throw that in the chat here if you'd like, or you can just DM us and we'll send it to you to get 20% off. But you don't need Smart Scout to get started, right? Like just storefront stalking and going reverse sourcing in other seller storefronts is where you'll find your, your profitable suppliers.
Yep.
And then it says you guys do FBM. What's your strategy with this?
This month we'll do some FBM. Outside of that, it's minimal. Other than a couple SKUs that, maybe are more profitable FBM that we have in our inventory, get multiple unit orders, on, and you're making way more money per sale. So, the bulk of it's done in December, but even then, we're not doing a crazy amount of FBM. Most of our business is FBA. And then another question here, do you guys plan to go to showrooms and talk to brands in person? Assuming you mean trade shows by that. If so, when will be the next event? But yeah, we go to trade shows, it's, they're all over they're all throughout the year.
Yeah, trade shows are great to not only meet suppliers, but also meet with suppliers you already work with and develop that trust and legitimacy and just more of a face-to-face connection. I don't know. We haven't really talked. It's kind of a slower time of year for trade shows. I know that, we will be going to, not that it's a trade show, but an industry event, Miami Seller Conference. And if any of you guys are there, I think it's in March, correct? I believe it's March. So we will be there at that. And if you guys are, there, come say hi, obviously.
Yeah, but there's, different industry trade shows that go on throughout the year. You have your fancy food show, your, SHOT Show, sweets and snack show. I would, like Brandon said, I would identify the brand first, have a conversation with them. And if there's a show coming up in their industry, ask them if they're going to the show. Make a connection on the phone first before just going in blindly to the trade show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I would approach it.
Do your brands sign term contracts?
Well, our exclusive agreements will be in contracts. Yeah. We'll usually get those in writing. Although we do have some handshakes with brands that we've been working with for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're in South Florida, Carson, we'd love to see you at the event.
Yeah.
Probably sign off here in a moment. I'm getting hungry. I don't know about you, but
I've been hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, so guys, we go live again, every Wednesday. Drop in, ask some questions. Sometimes we'll go into Smart Scout, do some sourcing, identify some brands, but always happy to have you. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button. Definitely helps out the videos. Any last minute words?
No, that's about it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Peace.